Okay guys, this video is pro tips using the stone matrix. We're going to start with a substrate. This is 32 square feet. And the first thing that I want you guys to do is take your stone matrix and mark all the joints, all the outside edges. Put a black mark or an arrow denoting exactly where those edges are, because that's going to be important later on. Now, after you get done spraying down some liquid release or powder release on your substrate in the mud, you slicked it up, it's nice. You just take a couple texture rollers. If you don't have texture rollers, go to walttools.com. I've got 13 of them there, and just basically lay down some basic texture. You don't have to do this step, but I find it if you get down a little, if you get a little bit of texture down first, that things are just going to be a lot easier later on. So it's easy enough. Just lay down some basic textures. I think the texture roller that you're looking at right now is the gnarly roller, and also the coral roller. I use that quite a bit for just dimpling. Okay, next up, take a little bit of liquid release and start spraying down your mats. I picked just the first three, and so that should be easy enough. Get that liquid release down there. After you get your liquid releases applied, take your first mat, just line it right up on the ground, and just imprint it. Now when you're pressing this in, you'll actually feel the actual rock joints, because they're a lot thicker and a lot more rigid. The 1/4 inch rubber that's there on the, that isn't in the joint, you'll feel it. Your hand will go right through it. So after you're done, just pull it back. Just kind of be thorough. Now this is the first one. As we move to the second one, you'll see why it's important that those black arrows are there. Because what we're going to do is we're just going to line those arrows right up over each of those rock joints. And if you follow, as long as you start end for end on 8 foot and centered, if you will, you'll be able to match those joints perfectly. Follow the same routine. Just hold it up there. You got two guys. Just push it in with your hands, and it should be relatively easy. Remember, the mud is really, really soft. We literally just got done troweling it smooth and dropping some texture on it. So that's just something that will... actually, the tool itself will almost suck right into the wall. I wouldn't say you could walk away from it, but it will hold itself in place. Now we've got our second pattern up there. Look how it just transitioned nicely from the last pattern, creating a whole different rock look. Next up, we'll grab the third and final mat and get that in place. When it's finished, we'll pull it off. And now we're ready for some of the other processes. Okay, we're literally 5 minutes into this. Our mud is about 1.5 inches thick on average, so we've got some good depth. It does take 2 guys to do. This is not a one-man job, but you get a lot of square footage done very efficiently. The few things that you need to go back over after this first initial imprint is finished is you are going to have some lines. So just go back over your edges and finish those up. It's not a big deal, but you do want to look for that. So I'm going to hide any evidence of the skin of the matrix being there. These are just very subtle, and it shouldn't be that hard to cover them up. Just kind of be thorough. And of course, the texture roller is going to take care of this a lot too. Don't worry about big problems. All right. For the most part, we're pretty good. Maybe a little bit on this bottom line. And a lot of times, this area is going to be on the grass line, so it'll be easily hidden. Now, your first order is going to be to drop down some texture. This is where you get to go through texture brushes, texture trowels, and texture rollers, texture skins, whatever you have for texture. So, I'm just going to take the coral brush, or the coral roller, I'll tag it a little bit with the release. And I'll just look for some identifying stones. You can corrupt any stone you want to with whatever texture you want. I'm just picking and choosing which stones that I want to be textured with this particular roller. And you can be random. Now, the first pro tip that I want to show you is involving touch points. Now, a touch point is where a stone basically touches another stone. Because we're kind of like a dry stack pattern here, I want to show you how a touch point is fabricated with your roller. I'm going to use the gnarly roller. Okay, and I'm going to create a touch point right through this area right here. What I'm doing is I'm kind of smashing the mud together until it just about touches. Now, I don't want the whole stone to touch. I just want this area right in here to touch. This is supposed to be wild, and that's supposed to be wild. I just want a small touch point. So over the next couple minutes, I'm just going to go through and create a bunch of these touch points, and you can see the method and the technique as I do it. And I might even change rollers, but I like this one a lot. So we'll just start with that. Okay, the next pro tip I'm going to show you is this grouting tool. It comes in 3 sizes, quarter, 3/8, and ½ inch. And what we're going to show you with this tool is it's profiled perfectly so that you can just rocker it right into the stone itself. So we've got a couple anomalies here that I don't like, and these will come up. Sometimes you'll get a closure, or you didn't get your skin in deep enough, so you'll come in with the appropriate rocker and you'll just kind of create that joint right there for it. Now, of course, you can go back in and close that up, but anywhere where you see where you just definitely need a little bit of help, or there's a splooge, you want to kind of look for that. Like this area right in here, I don't particularly care for that really. Let's just go in there and correct that up a little bit. Not worried about jagged cut edges, but I am kind of concerned about some of these pieces that might not look natural. So I'm going to go in and make sure that they look natural. And this is just all on my own personal preference and my texture, from how I'm looking at it. The other thing too I want to point out is if you come up to a sill or the top of an edge or something like that, you want to take these jointers or these grout tools and just carry it all the way up, right up into the sill. There's no problem. You can just continue that pattern, continue that design all the way up, and that will you're extenuating that pattern up to the door jamb, up to the sill, up to the window, whatever it may be, and you're just continuing out on all of your edges. So that being said, there's really nothing that you can't get around, because the pattern is pretty much laid down for you. All you're doing is basically rounding out the edges. So that should make it relatively easy for you to finish out the design. Okay, the next pro tip is going to be creating some reliefing with some of the texture trowels. And so what you'll want to do is you'll want to just press in and create a texture right up against a joint. What that does is smash down this mud, and it keeps this mud up. So you've got a higher side here and a lower side here. Same thing with this. Just smash in that side, and it creates it texturizes as well as creates a nice lift.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. We just spend the rest of the remaining time here Just wrapping up a couple more stones with this with the texture trowels, getting some relief that we want. Remember, you can follow those designs all the way out to the edges, to the left, to the right, up to a windowsill, up to a door jamb. Run them right into the ground. There's a 2-inch play on each mat, so if you want to tighten up those mats a little bit, you can let those joints kind of flow into each other to give yourself some variety of heights. Or you can extend them out even. You can even extend them out past and just connect them. Let's say it's a 20-inch wall and you want to use a 16-inch mat. Well, that's fine. Just run 2 inches up at the top and 2 inches down at the bottom. It's just a great versatile tool. I couldn't be more pleased with the Matrix. And there's a lot of great tools out there. I don't want to take anything away from the guys that have invented things or created things before me. But this tool alone will save you tremendous time and energy. There's basically really no designing to do. There's basically no clean out to do. And those of you who are hand carvers know a design and clean out are a major factor in working with vertical decorative concrete from a hand carving perspective. The end result is stunning. It's fantastic. It gives us all the elements that we like. I can hardly wait to use this tool in the future. It's just such a treat. It's $1,200 retail. You could pick up your copy at walttools.com. You guys have a blast. Enjoy the tool, and I'll see you next time.